Hey, this is Mac with PriceActionTradingSystem.com, and I wanted to demonstrate a trade. The thing happened so fast I couldn't get my recording going, so I've already scalped out, and you can see my stop has moved to break even on the rest of my trade, and I'm going to see how we're going to manage this. I wouldn't be surprised if we don't bounce right here. I'm tempted to exit my runner just above here, but if it's going to be a range day, what there's a good chance it could be, we could go much lower. So I think what I'm going to do is just hang on here and continue to manage this. But the reason I like this trade, let me just show you this. Um, we had a double top here. It looks like pretty strong resistance up here. We came up, we tried to test it again. We made a lower high, and we pulled back and made yet another lower high. And notice that we got a first entry long and a second entry long here that failed and then turned down. So I wanted to go short right below this bar. It was a fast, easy scalp. It actually happened so fast I couldn't even get the recorder going in time. So I started with my stop just above the signal bar, which is right here. And actually, I almost didn't take this trade because this ended as a type of doji, but that's a good trap right there, and you got to assume we're probably going to at least test these lows right here. I'm expecting we might even come down and test the overnight lows, so that's the reason I really want to try to hang on to this runner here. But I wouldn't be surprised if we get through here. It may drop on down. There we go. Let's see what it does here. Maybe we'll move on through, and I may even give this some more room because I really think we have a good chance of testing this low down here. But we really got a fairly tight trading range across here, so it wouldn't surprise me if we break lower here and fail and turn up too. So we'll just watch it here and we'll see what happens. But again, the reason I took this trade is that we're coming off a strong resistance area up here. And notice we tried to go higher once, we pulled back, tried to go higher again, and failed. So on a bigger picture, it's a failed second entry long. But even if you go to the smaller picture right here and just start off this high right here, you got a first entry long, pull back, second entry long that failed. So you got a lot of trap longs more than likely here. And that's why, and a lot of times all you'll get out of these is a scalp. And I went into this trade with 3 contracts, and I scalped out 2, and now I'm just holding one as a runner. And I'll be really surprised if it doesn't come back and get my runner here, but we'll see what happens. I mean, this is why you hold them. I'm not convinced that I shouldn't probably exit right here, but we'll see what happens. Maybe this will turn into a breakout pullback short, and it's trying to. And we'll go on down and test this next low. And depending on how fast and rapidly this drops down, strongly, I may move my target all the way down to here. We'll just see how this sets up here. But anyway, I've already made 2 points. And if I was to leave out right here, this would be a 6-point trade, which that's $300. And for a holiday trade, not bad. But you never know when you're going to catch the highs here and, you know, and make 10 or 15 or 20 points. I'm really expecting that today will probably end up much like yesterday, and we'll kind of end up in a range type day. But you never know. So that's why we hold on to the runners. It's trying to break lower here. And while we're waiting on this to see what's going to happen, somebody asked me about when is a good time to use limit orders. You know, you hear me talk about occasionally where I'll use limit orders to enter a trade. And these are the kind of places when you start to get all this overlap way away from the EMA, like a double, two matching highs. Those are the best ones when you get double bar matching highs. I like to drop a limit order right there. You can see it wouldn't have got filled on this one more than likely, but you drop a limit order right there. It ticks up, traps you in the, it executes your order, and then it turns down, and look at that move down. That would have been a perfect spot. Of course, that one may not have got filled. Another one kind of set up here for a second entry short. This wasn't as pretty a setup as this one, but still a nice setup right there. And you can see what happened. It ticked up. It actually went 2 ticks higher, and then it turned down. Easy scalp. But if you entered down here, you had to sit through all this pullback and chop right here before it actually went lower for you. And I do see we kind of got one leg down, a little 2 legs, and then another measured leg. So I probably should exit this one and take what it'll give me, but I'm really hoping to catch a move down. So we'll just continue to watch it and see what happens here. And I could take the money that I've made and move my stop all the way up here, but that's a little risky at this point because if I'm wrong, then I give back the profits I've already got. At this point, I'm guaranteed to make 2 points, less my commission. But if I give this more room and I'm wrong and we go higher, which we could because this is looking like a range day, but we're not 100% sure until we come down here and test this and bounce and go higher. We don't know that we're really in a range yet that's as big as, from here to here. But they're usually going to test the extremes from the overnight, at least on one side. So now we've tested them on the high. Are we going to go lower? We'll just have to see here. Trying to take it higher, but it's really not rocketing out of there. Let me see if I can see any more of those. Oops. So here was a double bottom matching low way away from the EMA. That would have been a good place to drop a limit order. Here's one on the way up. 2 legs back, you get those double bar matching highs at a place where you're looking for a reversal. And really all you're doing is you're looking for 2 bar matching highs where you're expecting a reversal. And they're famous for trapping people in at those spots. This would have been a good place for one to maybe go long if we weren't already short. Would have been in at 84. I believe that's 84. Yeah, you would have been in at 84 and easily out at 85 for a nice easy scalp. But, it never ticked through there, so we don't know if we would have got filled or not. But that's the kind of thing you're looking for. All right, this is what we're going to do now. I'm going to assume this is leg 1. If we start leg 2 from right there, that's going to be my target on this trade. If that's going to be a measured move. And we may go higher. We're not back to the EMA. We have not come back and tested this breakout right here. A lot of reasons to expect that we could go higher from here, and there it goes. Now there's kind of a double top right there. So is that going to be our, will we get a one tick failed break higher right there? Maybe. We'll see. It's not a really good setup, but the problem is we got the momentum of a failed break lower here. And those are, I mean, this is why we do not enter on breakouts, because they will fail most of the time. Even if they're only going to pull back and get more momentum for the downside, they're going to pull back. And, you know, you enter in there, you're risking. A lot of times that's where your new trend will begin at, on a failed break lower below an important support area, or a failed break higher above an important resistance area. Those are key places where trend reversals will occur. Just like right here. Notice that we came down here and we kind of, look how bearish that looks, and then on a dime it reverses, and it's been all uphill ever since then. Let's measure this. Oops, wrong. I assume that's leg one, and we're still in a pretty good spot here for leg two. A lot of buying going on right in here, though. Well, we're just not moving in any direction, really. I don't want this trade to get too long. I may just pause it just a minute and see what happens, and come back when it's actually either going lower or going higher, or if I'm going to change. So here we go. Maybe we're going to break lower here. Really what I see here is a possible one leg up, pull back, second leg, two legs back to the EMA. I love that setup. It could be, you know, if we go lower from here, it could be a breakout pullback short. You see that in it as a, you know, an overlapping, you know, double bar matching highs and lows. It's just congestion right here. Not a good sign, but it's not rejection either. So prices aren't rocketing higher. So it's just a prices have just found equilibrium right here, at least temporarily, and I'm still not convinced we're not going to go higher from here. This could be one leg up, and then your two-legged correction, and then your second leg up. And so we might get a measured leg up like this right here. So I'm tempted just to tighten my stop here and take what it will give me. I'm actually going to give it two ticks above this double bar matching high, because this is the kind of setup I'm talking about. You kind of got a two bar matching high here. But this is not a really good place where you find those great setups. You know, I like them better when they're like this. They're way away from the EMA. Occasionally there's some really good ones when they pull back to the EMA. But I like them better when the market's trending and not in a range, kind of like we are here. If this was a strong downtrend, this would be a really good setup, but it's not a strong downtrend. So I really hate to talk about these trades, but somebody asked about them, so I'm doing it. And the reason I really don't, it's a much more advanced entry, and it's a much more aggressive, and you know, you're better off to be conservative and take the sure bets. So Notice what I did here. I just gave it 2 ticks above that in case you get the 1 tick trap. And it does tick higher and turn low, and that way I don't get stopped out on a trap that's going to actually end up going exactly where I want it to go. But yet I don't give all my money back either if it ticks up there. Actually, if I exit this trade, I'm going to make 1 tick on this last contract, and you still make money on 1 tick. Not a lot of money. You're not going to get rich or anything, but you still make some money. So just giving it that extra tick really is just to avoid the 1 tick traps that this very well could set up to be. And there it goes. Yeah, and see, we got stopped out. This thing's probably going to go higher here. We'll see. And that could be leg 1 right there, and we may get another measured leg and then turn down. But anyway, just wanted to show you that trade. And again, the reason we took that trade was we're coming off a double top. We made we pulled way back. We came up. We made a lower high. We came down, and so on this bigger picture, that's 1 leg down, pull back second, so that's a second entry short. Off this low, it's 1 entry short, 2 entry short, and so it looked like we were going to go higher, and they trapped people once, twice, and that's a failed second entry long that turned down. Usually good for at least a scalp, and look at this thing. We probably just did get stopped out on it, and of course that's where they pull back to get the break-even stops. But we can always re-enter here if we get a good setup. So we'll see what happens. And, you know, you can enter here again. But I'd rather re-enter than give my money back and risk having a losing trade. You can always, that's what I try to get people to understand, is you can always re-enter. But if you're wrong and you let one move too far against you, you can't get it back, and you end up letting a winning trade turn into a losing trade. And that's a pretty good move right there. I probably should have exited down here at the strong support, knowing that we'd get a snapback, and then I could have re-entered again. But I was trying to demonstrate how I look for the runner and how I manage a runner on, I would have probably managed this differently. The way I managed it this time was probably more the way you'd want to manage it on a trend day. On a range day, generally you're better to exit at the strong support or resistance areas. So, but you could be more aggressive, and you could have left your stop up here and see what happens, because we could very well go lower. But what I like to do is exit and look for the next strong support and resistance areas and go ahead and exit, and then just look for another entry if we get a setup on one. So lots of different ways you can manage these things. The main thing is that don't let it take your money back. Go ahead and take your scalp, hold on to a runner, and go from there. It's my news guard going off, warning me of news. It's not any news we're concerned with. So you can see, there we go, we're going lower there. And that's a real big bearish bar. We're going to re-enter this thing. See if we can get back in with a limit order right here. We're already into 20 minutes. I hate to extend this video much longer. Just see real quick if we can't get this one filled. If we don't get filled real quickly here, we'll probably I'll probably end this video, and I'm pretty much ready to call it a day as it is. We're going to get left behind on this one. But now I would look for my target. Still look for my original target on this next leg to right here. 1 leg down, 2 legs down. Let's see if we can't get filled. I probably was being a little little greedy there trying to get a little better entry. Yeah, this one's going to go without us. We missed it. Yeah, here we go. Maybe not. Maybe it'll come back. And I'm afraid I missed that one. But now we'll just look. We'll look and see if it doesn't reach its target. And you notice where the target is. It's down here where there's more support. Yeah, we don't want to enter that now. All right. Well, anyway, hopefully you understood why we took the short we did, and why we manage, how we manage the trade, and realize there's multiple ways you can manage that trade. You don't have to do it exactly the way I did it there, and there's always different ways, and this is a good example. This thing's already bouncing out of there. This is looking pretty strong for a reversal. Now, it may not end that way, so we wait for this bar to end. But we got a failed break lower below a double bottom now. And see, and notice how this one didn't rush out of there, how it really fought, but look at how this one's coming out of there pretty strong. This looks more like rejection if it can end that. Yeah, and it ended that way. Be tempted to go long right here. Just can't seem to end this video. But anyway, you can see the difference of how that rocketed off out of that low when it broke. It broke lower and turned and closed on its high. And notice how it didn't do that down here. It broke lower and it chopped around, and that's acceptance of prices. And this looks more like rejection. So we'll see what it does here. We're 23 minutes into this thing. But really, we've got our lows right across here, kind of. And you can see how that broke lower. And actually, you might even call the lows right there now. It looks more like it. It's where most of your closes are. But look how that broke under there and just reversed right out of there quickly. They've got to get it through this EMA. The EMA is always going to be kind of a resistance area if you're below it, or a support area if you're above it. But if we can pop it through there, we're probably going to go back up here and test these highs again. And here they go. And again, hopefully you understand why we like that trade right there. We got kind of a strong support area across here, and we tried to go lower and it failed instantly and rocketed out of there very strongly. That's not just, notice this was a failed break below this double bottom, but notice it's how it just kind of hung around down there. Prices didn't break lower and then shoot up. But look what happened this time. Prices broke lower and just shot up right there. And it may turn out to be nothing more than a trap. I could have got trapped long right there. But I really like the way that bar looked. We'll see if we can get it above this level right here. We will probably go higher. If we don't, we may go lower yet. But I really like this to the upside. And notice our target up there. I haven't even got that far yet, but I'm going to put that just inside our previous highs here to start off. But if we were to come out of there really strongly, I may change my mind on that. Sometimes when you get an entry and it looks real bullish and then it ends as a doji like that, you got to be questioning. You got to suspect the trade. Or you got to question the trade. It makes the trade a little more suspect. But because we are below the EMA, I also know sometimes it takes a couple of tries to get through there. So rather than exit this one, I'm going to hang on a little longer. And notice that, it took more than 2 points to get below our signal bar here, but I'm not going to give it any more than 2 points. In fact, I may not give it that many. If we turn down here, I may close it, but I still like this to the upside. I really do. That was the rejection right there. And I know that it always takes a little bit of work to get back through that EMA, and they're still trying. We're giving it another shot here. Notice there's 500. This bar is about to end, so this is going to be a key how this bar ends. In other words, what I'm saying, if it closes bearish, let's see, here we go. The bar is about to end. They're trying to close it bullish. And if it closes bullish, it looks like it's going to close as another doji. We want this to close bullish to stay in our favor, really. This is why I'm always telling you don't want to sneak in, because you see it looked like it was going to end bearish, then it looked like it was going to end bullish, and it really kind of ends neutral. But these are just kind of one bar trading ranges, but look what I want to show you here. And this is something else. There's always little clues, but look how this bar's got a higher high and a higher low. This bar's got a higher high and a higher low. This bar so far has got a much higher low. That's a good sign that we're going to possibly break higher. We're struggling to get through that EMA, but that's normal, because that's where all the traders are looking to get short during pullbacks to the EMA, the smart traders. So, you could go ahead and exit this trade if you wanted to. Right there, you could have got out with a tick. You could probably drop your limit order down here and get out. But I still like it to the upside. I like the way that reversed up out of there. And see, and you could exit this now if you wanted. There we go. Wow, that was some really strong selling right there. Really strong selling. I believe what probably happened right there was a lot of people that got long like me decided to exit, and when it couldn't break above that bar, they just exited, went ahead and took a tick or so. But I still like it to the upside. I really do. Notice how the stems are down. Of course, there's stems on the high side too. But there we go. Come on. This video is over 30 minutes. That's going to be a really long video. But this is good stuff. I know a lot of people want to see me trade live, and there's always those people that, it's not just watching the videos and studying the trades is not going to be good enough for them. They want to see you do it in real time. So I'm trying to do you some in real time here and show you how I trade. Come on, one more tick. Notice that I'm exiting on a limit order with 2 contracts here, so it's probably got a tick now. There we go. It didn't tick through. I hate to get my stop up there too quickly. Let's just give it an extra tick, because we could form a double top here and turn down. But hopefully you understand why. The fact that I got out of there without it ticking through is a pretty good sign. But that's why I like using automated strategies, because as soon as I enter that trade, my limit order was right there. So I get in there early in the queue before when prices get up there and everybody else starts dropping all their orders and stuff in there. So I really believe in those automated strategies, and that's a good example of why, because I'm trading with a limit order and I still got out and prices didn't tick through there yet. The fact that I got out usually is an indication that prices are going to go higher there shortly. But I don't want to risk giving all my money back with it turning out to be a 4-tick failure and then turning down. So he really did get a rather choppy in there, but I believe that was just because we were below the EMA. And if we get a little higher, I'm going to go ahead and move. My stop will actually still move to break even on its own if we tick through this last tick. But prices still have not gotten that 5th tick. But that shows you how early I must have been in the queue to be able to get out without prices have even ticked through there a couple of minutes later. A lot of people don't want to pay for the strategies, but I promise you they're worth the money. I don't like the fact that we didn't go on from there. So I think what I'm going to do, I'm tempted just to exit this trade. Because we're really just in a trading range here now. Let's see if we can get a tick. We're either going to make a tick or lose a tick on this trade. There we go. All right. I'm going to wrap this up. We're 35 minutes into this, but I just wanted to show you some live trades. It's kind of a quiet day around here. I'm pretty much done for the day. This will probably serve as our chart lesson as well. We had a nice long here off this double bottom, and then we had this little break higher, failed break lower or failed break higher above those triple tops. It's a second entry short. It's a lower high. So there was a short right here. You got caught up in this stuff, but if you hung on, you should have gotten out. If not, you could have worked your way out exactly how I worked my way out of that trade when it didn't take off. And you see it is going lower now. Wouldn't surprise me if it doesn't continue to go higher. But this was a really nice reversal type bar. And you can see that, you know, even if it doesn't go higher, it usually gets enough to get its scalp, and that's exactly what it did. Nice scalp. And that's why we scalp out, because you never know if you're, you know, exactly what's going on. But if you get in right here and you hang on, now this thing's against you. So that is exactly why I like to scalp out. And now you got a failed second entry long. It's turned into a, you see it's really turned into a second entry short. So anyway, I'm not crazy about going short there now, because we know we've got strong support right across here. You get more touches right there. So now we may go up from here, or we could still go lower, but you definitely don't want to be going short right here. It's not worth it. It's not worth the risk, in my opinion. So you'd be better off to wait on a breakout pullback short or something. So anyway, I'm going to wrap it up. Fairly long video, but I wanted to show you some live trades. Like I said, everybody always wants to see some live trades, so there was 2 of them today. Didn't get any runners, but the market's just not really moving. So, and that's what happens. I really should have made a couple more points off this short than I did, but that's neither here nor there. I was hoping we'd get a move down, and sometimes you're wrong. So, but anyway, this is Mac with PriceActionTradingSystem.com. This will be it for this week. Hope you have a great Thanksgiving holiday. We'll see you Monday. Have a good one.